We're learning Likkutei Sichot, Volume 2, Parshas Vayeilech, page 111 in the Hebrew, section 2. So we talked yesterday about the reason that the Sefer Torah that Moshe wrote was placed in the Holy of Holies with the tablets of the covenant. We explained the relationship between there being letters that are engraved and the Holy of Holies, and the surprise that letters that are written, that are inked, would also be placed in the Holy of Holies. And that's the question that we ended with. What is the connection between written letters that are inked on the parchment and the Holy of Holies? So he says here, תכליתו של קודש הקודשים הוא שתוכנו זמן ומקום שלמעלה מזמן ומקום יאיר גם מחוץ לקודשי קודשים בעזרת כהנים, בעזרת ישראל, בעזרת נשים, הר הבית ומחוץ להר הבית, עד כדי שגם אומות העולם במקום הימצאם, ולא רק שהם באים לבית המקדש, ידעו שזמן ומקום אינם למעלה מזמן ומקום. ולכן ועמדו זרים וראו צונכם. So he says the purpose of the Holy of Holies is to bring the infinite down into the finite. What do we mean by bringing the infinite down to the finite? There should be an example, at least in one place in the world, where that which is beyond space and time appears within space and time. And that's exactly what happened in the Holy of Holies. A space could be seen to be acting in a way that it doesn't normally act, with the space of the space taken out by the ark not being accountable for, because somehow it didn't take up any space, because the way we explained that you would measure it, and you could see that it didn't take up space. And time is related to space. And so time also was above. It's interesting, he doesn't give an example here of time. He only gives the example of space. So what's the example of time? What example is there of time acting differently in the Holy of Holies than it acted anywhere else? Well, one example could be that you hear the prophecy, the word of the prophecy coming from between the cherubim. What it means is that prophecy is an extratemporal phenomenon, right? Because somehow a person is hearing in the present what is in the future. Now, once ideas come out, they come out. And so yesterday I was going through social media, let's call it, and I came upon a short clip from Anthony Hopkins. You know who Anthony Hopkins is. He's a Brit like you. All the Brits know each other, right? Yeah. So he's a famous actor. And and I like him a lot. So he talks, I like his accent, I like listening to him. So I'm listening to him, and he's rambling on about how he became Anthony Hopkins. How did he become who he was? And then he says something amazing. It's like he watched one of my classes. Really. He says, I don't care if you're an atheist or you're agnostic or you're this or this, you have to believe. What does it mean to believe, he says? To believe is to grab the future and put it into the present. Where in the world did this man get that statement out of? Where did he take that from? That's what we teach. He's a goy. Where did he hear this? So I can imagine that he heard this from some kind of New Age teaching or whatever. But in the end, that's what prophecy is. But prophecy is, by definition, not just a way of passively understanding godliness. Prophecy is a way of bringing godliness into the world actively. Because prophecy is, by definition, has to be self-fulfilling. A negative prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled. It doesn't have to happen. But a positive prophecy, one that's good, has to happen. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what it's called. Who knows how to prophesize basically every single human being? It's enough that they have a vision of this is what I want to achieve, and they truly believe in that vision, and there's a good chance that it will be fulfilled in their lifetime. Rav Stanzels used to say this. I had a beautiful dream, and it came true. Everything that he did with the Shas, and it was a dream. How does a regular person work? He brings the future into the present. He dreams about the future, what it should be like, and then he brings it in. That is prophecy by definition. It doesn't matter whether you feel that you've had a divine experience and God revealed himself to you in this prophecy, or whether you came up with it. The very faculty that we have of envisioning the future, that is 1/60th of prophecy. Because what do the sages say? What is 1/60th of prophecy? A dream. They don't mean a dream like in the sense that you had a nightmare. That's not 1/60th of a prophecy. It could be, but they mean like even a daydream. The very fact that a person can think about the future and envision it and say, this is where I want to go, that is prophecy. So in that sense, the Holy of Holies was the place from which all the dreams came from. It's above time in the sense that anybody who came to the temple would have a vision. That's what we call mitzvat re'ayon. The mitzvah to be seen and to see. So to be seen, I understand what that means. God looks at me, okay, but he looks at me everywhere. Okay, but it's a special mitzvah to be seen in the temple. What does it mean that I see? I don't see God.
You do.
You do. What do you see? You envision your future. That's what people came out of the temple with. They came with a clear image, clear picture of what they needed to do in life.
There is a modern day
equivalent, which is?
Go to the Rebbe, go into Yechidus, and the Rebbe tells you what to do with your life.
Right. The Rebbe doesn't really tell you what to do with your life. The Rebbe guides you in getting you to see what you need to do with your life.
That's the same idea.
Okay. He helps you. He helps you do that for yourself.
Put it in simple English. He gives you a match which you can strike to light up the candle.
Right. But it's still up to you to actually fulfill the prophecy. In that sense, that's what it means, I think. It's one possibility of what the Rebbe means here, that from the Holy of Holies emanated the notion that time and space can be higher than time and space. That's what he's saying here. And it didn't just emanate to the rest of the sanctuary, it didn't just emanate to the rest of the temple, to the rest of the Temple Mount, to the rest of Yerushalayim. It emanated to the entire world. And when the entire world comes to realize this, that the source of everyone's dreams, of everyone's future, comes from that location, then they come and they see themselves as part of that dream. They come and they say, we want a part of this. And so he says that's where the prophecy of foreigners will come and shepherd your flocks, meaning they will want to come take care of you because they will want to be part of this. They will come to help you because they want to be part of this great thing that the infinite has been revealed in the finite. That all emanates from the Holy of Holies. So it says, that is the purpose of the Holy of Holies. לפיכך היו מונחות גם אותיות הכתיבה בקודשי הקודשים. So that's why in the Holy of Holies there had to be also the written letters, not just the engraved letters which symbolize the lack or space that's not space. It also had to emanate outwards, and to emanate outwards you have to have language, you have to have written material. You have to have intermediates from this high lofty state of the Holy of Holies, intermediates that would spread the word out to others. To draw the light of the Holy of Holies out into reality, into the being, the sense of being that is outside the Holy of Holies. Section 3. בתורת החסידות מוסבר היתרון של עבודת ראש השנה לגבי עבודת כל השנה, בכך שבכל שנה עיקר עבודה הוא על פי טעם ודעת, אף מסירת נפש שבכל ימות השנה קשורה במשהו לטעם ודעת, ואילו עבודת ראש השנה היא ביטול הנעלה מטעם ודעת. So Chassidus explains that the advantage, the superiority of the serving of God on Rosh Hashanah above and beyond the rest of the days of the year is that during the rest of the days of the year, even when you have complete self-sacrifice or self-nullification, it still has something to do with the rational mind. It's a decision. You have to prepare yourself to go and do it, to go beyond your limits. But on Rosh Hashanah, Bittul is higher. It doesn't emanate, it doesn't come from your rational mind. It's not a rational decision to sacrifice myself, to go beyond myself. יש אפוא לדעת שלמרות שבמשך כל השנה לא נדרש הלך הרוח של ביטול הנעלה מטעם ודעת, יש אף על פי כן צורך שגם במשך השנה, כשאדם קיים במציאותו, תהיה עבודה כפי שהיא נדרשת לפי הביטול שבראש השנה, כדוגמת המשכת קודש הקודשים על אותיות הכתיבה ואף אל החוץ. It says, so the rest of the year we need to know that there should be a level of self-sacrifice that is above the rational mind, even though that's not what normally there is. So that's called the emanation of the Holy of Holies in terms of time. So that's his example of time, that this emanates into day-to-day life. Now, the Rebbe, here he doesn't explain it very much, but he explained it many times later exactly what he means. What does it mean that there's self-sacrifice, there's bittul, self-nullification that's higher than the rational mind, and there's self-nullification that's not? So another way of couching this in more familiar terms is saying awakening from above or awakening from below. The usual state of affairs is that when we awaken from below, it awakens something above. In other words, for me to reach a state of self-nullification, I have to start from a state of being, from a state of non-nullification. I have to feel myself to be something. And my somethingness, my being, says to me, I would like to nullify my being. But if I don't have a sense of being first, self-nullification doesn't mean anything. Because I'm not nullifying. What am I nullifying? So I have to have some sense of who I am, an identity that I'm going to nullify. So that's called that the awakening from above, or the higher state, is caused by the lower state. Now, all year long I can acknowledge that the reason the world works this way is because that's how God wanted it to work. To say it another way, that when I pray to Hashem and Hashem does what I said, that's an example of awakening from below that causes an awakening from above. But that itself was instituted, that state of affairs, that by awakening from below I caused an awakening from above, that itself was instituted by God Himself. So before the awakening from below that causes the awakening from above, there was an awakening from above that instituted that whole rule, without which that would not be the case. So Hashem had to want the world to function this way, that by doing something from below we cause something above. But that is only true during the rest of the days of the year. On Rosh Hashanah, it's different, because on Rosh Hashanah everything goes back to the beginning. It's as if the whole world is recreated again. If the whole world is recreated again, then you can't say that it's just that God set up this rule. We're in a state that's even before the rule. Right? That God needs to set up the rule, as it were. So he says there, if you understand that, then you're in a state of nullification that's not dependent on your being, because there's no being to begin with. Because in Rosh Hashanah it's as if there's no being. Everything is now coming out of nothingness entirely. So that, he says, so in a certain sense you have to take from that understanding that I can even connect to God's essence, His substance, where no rules have been set up yet. And that is the ultimate self-nullification. I can connect to that every single day of my life. It doesn't have to only be on Rosh Hashanah. That's what he's saying here. The emanation from that, the spreading out from that, can affect every single day of our lives. But to do that, he says, you have to have the written word. Somebody has to explain this, like the Rebbe explained it many times. How did it come to me? I didn't hear the Rebbe explain it because he explained it in Yiddish. And he probably didn't on Shabbos. I never heard him say it. But I read it. So the written word took that emanation and spread it out even to someone like me. So that even I could understand that. What does it mean to have self-nullification that's above the rational mind, that's above any type of being? Because that's the emanation that comes from Rosh Hashanah, where nothing is, it's as if nothing exists yet. And Hashem has to set up the rules. Section 4. Ha'achana lechachi, the preparation for all this is Atem nitzavim hayom. Right, this is about Vayeilech, but I guess that was a year where they were together. Nitzavim and Vayeilech, the two parshas together. So you are standing all today together. Rashechem, Shivtechem, the heads of your tribes, from your wood cutter to your water bearer. גם אדם שיתכן שהוא מראשיכם שבטכם יתקשר מיהודי שני מן הסוג שחוטב עצר ושואל ממך מתאחד איתו בבחינת כולכם לאחדים כאחד. So this goes back to what we studied last week. That even a person who's the head of a tribe is now standing together as one with the water bearer and the wood cutter. They're all as one. Where can that be? העובדה שאינו מבדיל בין ראשיכם שבטכם לבין חוטב עצך ושואב ממך נותנת לו כוח לא לעשות הבדלים בין עבודת ראש השנה לבין כל השנה, וגם במשך כל השנה מאירה בנפשו הביטול של ראש השנה. So the fact that I can get over these differences with other people and feel that we're all one, we're all really unified together, that gives me the strength to take from the Rosh Hashanah, which is completely different than the rest of the year, and bring its emanation, bring its light into all the days of the year, without any difference between them. So it says that sense of unity is transferred from the unity between souls here to the unity in time. ועל ידי כך הוא מביא לידי זה שגם ההמשכה של למעלה מורגשת בכל מקום עד כדי ועמדו זרים וראו צמכם. And by feeling that, so if I feel connected to every single Jew without looking at the differences between us, and that was what the Baal Shem Tov's father said to him, Yisrael, love every Jew without looking at his status, without any regard for who he is. What he is teaching? He's teaching him nitzavim. He's teaching him how to feel as one. Then you'll be able to bring the Ein Sof, the infinite, into the finite in everything that you do. So if you can realize that lack of separation between different Jews, if you can feel that, you can do the same with time and with space. And you can bring the infinite into the finite. And then you affect all the people of the world to feel that they also want to have a part in this inheritance of the house of Jacob. They also want to be part of this. And that's why they come and say, we'll shepherd your flocks. Meaning we'll take care of the physical side of life for you, because we want to be close to your spiritual side. משום שעל ידי כך שאדם יוצר את הביטול של ראש השנה בזר שבקרבו הגוף והנפש הבהמית וגם בזר שביהודים אחרים, הביאו לידי כך שגם בקרב אומות העולם הזרים האמיתיים תורגש מעלה בני ישראל וראו צונכם. Because by taking the foreigner within me, okay, and bringing him, he's one with me, because that's what I'm doing in Nitzavim. That's what it means that we're all standing here together. And taking the foreigner in other people, I have a foreigner in me, that's my animal soul. The foreigner in me has to also feel that it's part of this serving God. It can't feel scorned. It can't feel, I have no place, I have no role. Of course it has a role, of course it has a place. And if I feel that about myself, I can feel that about other people, and this affects the non-Jews who are the true foreigners, literally foreigners, and they come and they say, we also want to be part of this. ועל ידי כך שזוכים שההמשכה שנמשכה בראש השנה תתבטא בכל השנה גם בגשמיות, בכל המצטרך, בטוב הנראה והנגלה, לכתיבה וחתימה טובה בתוך כלל ישראל, שנה טובה ומתוקה, בטוב הנראה והנגלה. And thanks to this, we find the essence of Rosh Hashanah manifest into every single day of the year, not just spiritually, but also physically, in everything that a person needs. In the good, in the good that is revealed and seen under 10 cubits and so on, with a good and sweet year for us and the entire Jewish people.
Jacob,